mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah. You know I be on a what? Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah. It's all hard, ain't no fear here.
I'm in a different chair because this is the Ride the Rebellion podcast produced by Justina. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Drew Hall, and with me today is the king of the South Alabama Turndown, the reigning and defending, just world's best Boyd, Dale Boyd from Dale Boyd Sports Management and Gripping Company.
Wow, there's a lot there.
The tally lights aren't working.
Oh, mine is. I'm in.
Oh,
I'm good.
Well, you'll just know when yours works.
I'll just hear the click.
Listen for the click.
And we are going to be shouting out Justina, not to be confused with Just Tina.
Yeah.
But it's Justina.
Yeah.
She's going to be hitting the switches.
She's the bitches on the switches.
Yeah.
Well, you asked for it.
She has no microphone, so.
Nope, she can't really. She'll yell.
It's all good.
It is what it is. All right, so let's just do our quick sponsor rolls. So we'd like to go over our sponsors with you today, and then just throw in a few notable things that we like. That's what we're going to go with, which is pretty much our sponsors anyway. Fair enough?
Yeah, I'm rocking one today. Just a little friendly shout out. He'll get it.
Oh yeah, got it. I had to squint. That light
right
bulb is so
It's
stupid.
right here.
Who put that there? Excuse me. All right, so first shout out, of course, is to Lucky Shot Coffee. I miss Lucky Shot Coffee. I was actually in a foreign country that maybe we'll talk about a little bit on the show. I was in a foreign country recently, and the coffee was good, but it was nowhere near as good as Lucky Shot Coffee. In fact, I brought some back. Maybe I should give some to Shannon and see if she can replicate. In order for her to do that, though, replicate the coffee, she would have to grow some tobacco
And
then make cigars. And then, I think, roast the coffee in the tobacco shed where it's aging. Uh-huh. So there's a whole process of things that need to occur before. Anyway, we'll figure that part out.
Wait. We pair donuts and coffee. They pair cigars and coffee.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a good plan.
That is a good plan.
That's legitimate. So yeah, if you have a chance, head over to LuckyShotCoffee.com and try their coffee. It's delicious. I really enjoy it. I'm out. I need to buy some more, but that's a different story. Of course, we can't just mention Lucky Shot Coffee without getting lucky. And the best way to get lucky is to head on over to Dirt Coaster Academy. I don't know what that means.
Wow, I was wondering where that segue was going. I was like, wait,
well,
we're getting
I had
lucky?
to choose.
Because I was waiting to see if Kevin was going to get you lucky.
It was a choice between Kevin Black from Man of War Tattoo, Dirt Coaster Academy, Aaron Friesmeyer from Run and Try.
Yeah, because Aaron's a gambler. He likes to gamble a little bit. That's kind of
so
get your luck.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You want to go with that one?
We just hit them all, didn't we?
Yeah, we basically.
Man of War Tattoo, Run and Try. It's all lucky.
Yeah, get lucky with all of those where you can go shoot your shot.
Yeah, shoot your shot with all of them. See what happens.
This show is off the rails. Welcome back.
Yeah, we haven't had one of these off the rail ones.
No, we've not had
serious lately.
We've had some dick serious shows lately.
And our serious is not that serious.
No, it's never really been that serious. The most serious thing about this show normally today is just my shirt.
It is.
I had a business meeting. I have a coat somewhere. I could dress up for it.
I don't know what that was proposed for, but I don't want to go. Sounds professional.
That was very. And then they last minute changed it to remote. So it was one of those. Yeah. I'm going to shout out two other things that I really enjoy that I think are important if in the area. I'd like to shout out Jefe Paletas only because that dude, I went there again today, and I like to go there after Friday night races. Used to be that there was a taco truck there that had the best burrito tacos in the city. They've decided to move themselves to the brewery downtown, so we won't see them there anymore. However, I go there and I get a drink called a Russo because it's like sorbet, and it's just when you're hot and sweaty and gross, it's really refreshing. I, of course, doctor it up by adding tequila or high noons directly to the cup, and it's fantastic. But I wanted to give them a shout out because it is something that's pretty tasty. And a lot of times, we finish up a ride or you do something and you immediately just go pound in a bunch of weird calories. All his stuff is handmade and pretty much natural. I mean, he has some unnatural shit like an Oreo popsicle that's amazing. Has a whole Oreo in it. Yeah.
Wow. I just got diabetes hearing about it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I'm not even mad.
But his fruit stuff and everything else is straightforward. There's very little sugar, so it's very good. Anyway, it's tasty. I want to shout them out. And the other thing I want to talk about is it's nappy season.
No, it is nappy season.
Yeah.
And not your hair.
No. This is what they call a local awards here that mean absolutely jack squat. Last year I got in a fight with the owner.
Yeah. Well, this year we're going to get in the fight with the owner because he's going to be like, is this even a real podcast? Like, yes.
That's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because we are named as one of the, as a podcast that's nominated. Best local podcast. Though we're not hardly local at all. Though we are and we aren't at the same time.
Yeah. We're local as in we are recording in Mobile.
Yeah, that's best. So if you have a chance, head over to, I think it's Vote Nappies. What is it, Justina? Jamie?
Hit us on the goobs.
Yes, Stevie. Thank you, Stevie. Head over to votenappies.com and you can vote for us over there, which is fun and it helps us. You can also plug in Best Tattoo Shop, Man of War Tattoo.
That's right.
Best Dessert Place or Minority Owned Place, Hefe Paletas. Best Coffee Shop. I don't know if Lucky Shop fits in that
Best
category.
Ad Agency.
Marketing or something. There's some garbage in there for us.
Craftshow.
Yeah, you can squeeze us in there.
Yeah, come on.
Or just vote for Skoda Works. I mean, I'm a little zingy today.
I know, dang, Zanny.
I'm just coming out of the gate, just swinging at people. I did. I had a mangonada from Hefe Paletas.
So
There's no alcohol in that, but it feels like it is.
I've been tediously messing with my fingers trying to be a craftsman.
Let's talk about that.
I went to Hobby Lobby today.
That is not where I thought that conversation was going to go.
Jeez, man. Oh,
Why'd you go to Hobby Lobby?
to get some stickers.
Yeah.
So,
What were the stickers?
It wasn't even stickers. I have to create this thing. Like, I'm creating a mermaid right now. That's all I'm saying. This will be a reveal. Big gender reveal.
Soon.
Big gender
Dude,
mermaid
if you
reveal.
do that, I would love nothing more to see a gender reveal video for that situation. That would be amazing.
It could happen.
So it's either going to be a mermaid or a merman, but we know it's a mermaid.
No, it's definitely a mermaid. And somewhere on the mermaid, it has to say, "Get off my tail."
Legit?
Yeah, that was requested.
How big of a mermaid is it?
Well, not a big mermaid. I mean, it's something to do with my wife. So if I start talking about how big the mermaid is, I'm going to get chastised. The mermaid's not that big. But you can fit. If it fits, it ships.
Well, there's a mermaid in our very near future on this episode.
Well, there's a lot of opals and some purples and some teals.
You're not even going to talk about what it is. You're just going to wait for a big reveal on that when it's done.
Oh, it's a bike. It's a bike.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact is that you may or may not have broken one of the golden rules of hobbydom, which is you brought your wife in.
I know. It's like it's a teetering. Like, okay, so we have bikes and we have wives, but we very rarely have bikes and wives.
Right. That's correct.
So she's always been like on the outskirts. And by outskirts, I mean like at the events, but just sits in a chair and reads a book.
she's by the outskirts. I mean, she's in the car 7 miles away yeah.
Actually, that's not that far off.
No, that is my wife. That is my wife. My wife is like, oh, I'm staying at the W.
Yeah.
Like, you're pretentious.
Yeah,
she definitely doesn't listen to this, so I'm golden.
Actually, I can segue into something. So my wife has always been there at races or events. She likes the people thing, even though she doesn't like talking to people. It's kind of weird.
She likes people watch.
Yeah, she likes to people watch and be around.
And bike people are freaks.
And maybe to make sure there's no other girls there while I'm biking. I don't know what her weird thing is. Like, I'm in the mountains with a bunch of sweaty dudes. Just relax.
In the Southeast, if we're in other territories, she has all rights in the world to be a little concerned.
Honestly, I think she just enjoys like the atmosphere like we do. Like, it's a great atmosphere. So she went to Skyway the first year. Skyway took me 7.5 hours. And I come back. My beautiful, amazing wife has a tarp laid out with Pedialyte on it, a pillow.
Oh my God.
And like all this stuff. And like all I want to do is lay down, right? So boom, drop down, lay down. And then I finally dawned on me, why is it a tarp? Like, am I going to die? And you're just going to roll me up and throw me in the pond? Like,
she had you ready to go. She was like, I'm done with this dude.
Yes. She had sat there for 7 hours and plotted my murder right in front of everybody. And they didn't even know because there was Pedialyte. It was like a trick.
Right.
Like, just drink the Pedialyte. It was actually antifreeze.
So the real part of it is it's like when you die, your body evacuates all its shit and piss. So she was just prepping for that.
Ready.
She didn't want to deal with that. She's a nurse. She knows.
Yeah, she was fully ready. She was ready for me to
terrible,
die.
dude.
But the segue there is I'm rocking an Ordinary Epic shirt.
Oh, that's right.
Jason Shear that organizes Skyway, organizes the Gravel Cup in Mississippi.
Right. His events are legit.
Yeah, they're legit. He does it for the racers.
Right.
Like he is a cyclist and he loves the cycling, so he does things for cyclists, not for anything other than what he's doing. And this year, we're going to take a group of yahoos up to Skyway, and I'm not racing this year, but we do have John and Don and CJ and some of our other friends are racing, and we are going to be manning the Bull Gap aid station.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
You are welcome, my friends.
Yeah, we're going to try and do some things where we can record live, like while we're not live, but while we're there, like record. So like we really have joked about a lot of different stuff. Like one of them was figuring out how to like hook one of these boom arms that we have here onto a bicycle and chase after people. Like, excuse me, sir, ma'am, do you know about our Lord and Savior?
Yeah.
But chase after them, Seventh-day Adventist style. But have a conversation with them. To see if we can get some cool stuff. I think it'd be amazing if someone would take 5 minutes and give us a 5-minute interview.
Yeah,
like while they're resting.
A lot of the people are racing and they won't stop and talk
Right.
to us. But
Right.
other people that are just trying to survive,
Right.
like we'll have some chairs set up.
We might bribe them too.
Yeah,
Like snackables or something.
Yeah, here's an Uncrustable. If you
Uncrustable, that's what it is.
give us 2 words of wisdom on why you're here and
It'll
how
be
bad
like,
you hate your
"Fuck you."
life while you're here.
Yeah, the 2 words. But that'll be a lot of fun. That's cool too.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. It's April 1st is the race. If you're anybody that listens is welcome to come hang out with us for the day. We're going up the 31st. We're going to ride Sylacauga, some of the Sylaward trails before.
Yeah, if anybody wants to meet up there, we should.
I know some of the bump
throw it into the
clowns are coming
Discord.
too. Chase and his ambiguously
Cronies.
gay duo. Whoever
Cronies.
that is.
Chase's cronies.
Yeah. Chase's crony.
The problem is Chase is the crony.
No, right, yeah.
Right. The rest of those dudes seem pretty legit, but he's the crony. Now that he sat in this chair,
What
I
he
can
did-
talk trash. I
what
feel
he-
like I'm in. I
What
feel like
he
I'm
did-
part of it now.
He just alienated everybody, made himself the leader so that no one can alienate him.
That's exactly.
It's actually a genius move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
well,
listen, you guys have to hang out with me. I'm the fucking president.
right.
No, you don't have any choice.
Until you reach elite level status, like special skills status,
Yeah.
which is what the soft member did, Sasquatch soft member did. And soft member, like, he's like, I'm so elite, I don't even care if you hang out with me. You just do you, and I'm just going to tell you, I'm not even going to tell you you're wrong.
Right.
I'm just going to fix it. That's just what happens.
He has reached that level.
Yeah. Well, now
There is a thing that you have to be if you're in leadership of any organization of a hobby or mountain biking. Well, since we're talking about it, you have to be better than a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like you can't show up and be the worst one there.
Right.
Right. You have to be kind of somebody that other people want to follow.
Right.
You know, like you don't want to be in the back the whole time.
No.
At least this is what I keep telling myself while I'm going fast. Hey,
Yeah,
I just got to
but
be in
you
the front.
you can't even turn it off for 5 seconds.
No.
You couldn't even turn it off at an F&L where you were just filling in so there were 5 numbers. And then you won it like an asshole.
I wasn't trying.
And you
to
won the championship
I know.
like an asshole.
I gave that prize back.
Yeah, you did give it back.
Put it
I
back
mean,
in the pool.
the pool of
The shallow pool.
dude.
that we weighed
The
in.
new ones, like I feel gracious to have. I don't know where my OG one is. It's somewhere around here. Did I get it?
You got a prize. You got something.
Yeah, it's somewhere around here.
There's some pie tins, some ashtrays.
Yeah, the
some-
pie tin, the ashtrays. I mean, those are just golden. That stuff is hilariously brilliant. So yeah, there's some things that obviously I went out of town and I was going to talk about a little bit because there's an interesting bike connection there that I didn't fully understand. So for those of you that don't follow me on social media or Craftshow, I don't think we sent anything from the Rib, but I was in Cuba for a week. I got flown down not on a tourist visa, but on a cultural, not appropriation, but a cultural visit or something. And so we had a little bit different dynamic with the place. And so while we were there, like I had looked up, there's one mountain bike trail, right? So I asked multiple people while I'm there in my poor ass Spanish that I can't even attempt to replicate. And no one knew about it.
Bicicleta Vamonos.
So yeah, but bicycling was huge there, right? It was a big deal, like in a certain time period. I didn't fully understand the full story till I got there. But the first day we're there, we're driving, or second day, I guess, first day we landed, and then that was at night. We're driving along, and I was like, I see this weird image of like a dude on a motorcycle towing 2 dudes on road bikes that were old 1980s. I mean, these were like dated bikes, right? Because it is Cuba. Like
right.
Everybody knows their cars are old, but their bike stuff is old too.
Yeah, they
for
had
the most part.
embargo, right? Like
Yep.
they couldn't have anything. That was
They're
my
very
next question,
limited.
but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the limited things. But they come blazing past our tour bus. Dude, they're going like 40 or 50 miles an hour, holding onto a motorcycle. And I'm like, I'm trying to get my phone to get video of it. I have it. I'll show it to you. And I finally get it. And they were just pacing up to another race. And we pull up on, this is on a Tuesday, midday. And there's a bicycle race. And it's all roadies, of course. But not all roadies. There was a lot of mountain bikes in it that were just like, they were probably Suntour forks because they were silver forks. I mean, they were dated, of course, but they were like low level stuff. But it was literally people in a mountain bike race climbing up the road, or in a road race on mountain bikes, climbing up the road with a dude on a motorcycle chasing them. And he just like, these other two guys released off eventually and got back into the pack. I don't know what the deal was.
Probably that thing Nixon told us about where the locals just like screwed him.
Oh, that could be it.
Remember how the locals had help?
Yeah.
But it was like such a gnarly race.
But they didn't get to the front. They just dropped him at the back. Oh. They had no police escort.
You have to sandbag.
They had no follow car. It was just, and they were on a highway.
Well, I don't know Cuba. I have friends that live in Mexico, and there was a thing that he used to tell me, one of my good Mexican friends that had like a 900R motorcycle, crotch rocket. He said every Sunday they would get together and just pray real quick and go as hard as they could on the windy mountainous road because
brutal.
He's like, we don't value life nearly like you do. Like, life and death isn't a big thing for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a chat. I definitely feel like some of that was there. It was interesting because I was all excited. Like, there's no way I could have broken away to go ride my bike. It's just not going to happen. Like, or ride a bike,
or being in the woods in Cuba.
Right. They're like all these things seemed like a terrible idea at the time. And I didn't really see that many mountains until we left on one of the days we went out to like a place where I'm not allowed to call it it begins with an F and rhymes with chicken parm. We were at a place. And so this particular place, they grew tobacco and they grew coffee, right? But on the way out there, it was mountains. And I was like, once you're a mountain biker, you're always a mountain biker. Like, you can't help but look at terrain and be like, dude, that'd be fun. And I'm looking at it like, oh my God, this is like sick. It wasn't crazy high stuff. It was more like Birmingham style hills. And I'm like, I know that stuff. But there was small rocky outcrops and very steep stuff. And I was like, where's that trail? I know it's, because it told me, I looked where it was. But it was wild. But on the way, I wondered why, here's Cuba, this place that doesn't have any money or is struggling for money. They're a communist country, socialist, whatever they are, communist. And they don't have any money. And I was like, dude, the easiest solution for transportation there is a bicycle. I didn't see any. That road group, every once in a while, and when I say any, I thought there'd be a lot more. I saw very few. So we're watching this video, and part of it was embargo. And the bikes I saw, I finally saw a Cube, and I was like, oh, a Cube, that's cool. Yeah. I wonder how that got here. Like, kind of wild. And it was an older one, but most of the bikes were like brands I've never heard of. I did see like a Cannondale, so shout out to Nixon and his crew. But that was like in the roadies. Just who knows how old that bad boy is.
That seems
who knows how it got there.
Right. It just seems crazy, like bike technology isn't that advanced, right? I mean, it is for what we're riding, but they could have old stuff that could work just as well, right? And you would think that would, I mean, China's mode of transportation is bicycle. Most of the countries that are populated like that are. But how is the population there? Like, is it like vast? Or is it like...
Well, Havana's like 2 million people, I think. I mean, they're pretty compact. And dude, it was a little shocking because it was kind of... the people were very nice. Like, we didn't have any major issues. We had a couple times we were followed, and I don't know if that was from, nefarious sort of situations or if it was just interest, someone just seeing because we have Americans. And that's with a tour, without a tour, because we broke off on... I can't just be in a tour. That's not... I'm not seeing the country at that point. But everybody's really cool, but it was a little dirty. Like, there was like plastic and junk on the ground. Like, there was like, I mean, it reminded me of a rougher sort of, I'm trying to think of what city I could parallel. Kind of like feeling a little bit like downtown LA in spots. Like, it was rough.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful because it's old, and you go to old Havana and it's great. But there's buskers fucking everywhere though. Yeah. I mean, you're getting hit up for money like every 5 seconds.
Was it weird? Did you see anything that was like, wow, I can't believe they have this, but not that? Like something, because is there still an embargo? Like,
we can't do anything.
Right. So, like, is it weird? Did they have anything that you were like, man, I can't believe they can get that here, but they don't have like something else?
That delicious rum and that tobacco, right?
Yeah.
I mean, their rum is it's world class. I mean, that and tobacco and stuff. The weird part is they get a lot of tourism from Canada. Okay. So Canada's big down there. China's big there, obviously. Russia's big. They get some EU folks come in. So they have a big tourism. Yeah. I just wasn't in a major tourist hub. So Havana is where you land, but most people end up in Santiago or some of these other spots where allegedly it is like stupid gorgeous.
Right.
The more south you go into Cuba, I think the prettier the beaches get, like the water gets bluer. There's nothing that was like, it's more tragic because you're sitting there having a conversation with people and you find out like a dozen eggs was like 2,200 pesos, which is like, if I'm doing the math right, I think, it's like $22. So a dozen eggs is almost $2 an egg, and eggs are a staple of, my understanding is a staple of the diet there. And so now all of a sudden, a cultural staple is removed from it. Yeah. Rice is a big deal there, which is not just like Mexican rice, like we say is Alabama rednecks. It's just plain white rice.
Which just seems crazy because like eggs, you don't have to import eggs.
Right.
Like you could have chickens there, you know, so that seems crazy.
But the government takes so many of them.
The
so you start realizing the communism thing and you're like, oh, dude, this is crazy.
Yeah. We all share it. No,
right.
No, you don't.
Right. So to that, what I found really fascinating, part of the reason why I didn't see that many bicycles is they had this issue, I think it was in the 80s, pardon my ignorance. So it got, the country flipped in 58 to communism or socialism, whatever they preached at the time. It's communism. But when they flipped in 58, but in like the 70s or 80s, there was this peak oil consumption issue where everybody in the world was using too much oil. Well, Cuba took a hit from it because they were an island and blah, blah, blah. Who cares? They blamed the U.S. in the video. They showed us on the tour bus. It was a very communist video. It was great. I loved it. Because they said in one part of that, they're like, oh, well, this peak oil happened and Cuba didn't have any money. And so how did they going to fix that situation? Well, the reality is like Cubans figured out how to farm without using petrochemicals. And in my mind, I'm like, well, then why the fuck are they starving?
Right.
Like, why are people hungry if they know how to farm without petrol? Anyway. But one of the solutions they had to this petrol issue is that the country bought bicycles for everyone. Awesome. So communist bicycles. All right. Well, they came from China, I believe.
From communist bicycles.
Right. And they're solid steel.
Oh, God.
So the bikes are weighing 50 and 60 pounds. It is hot as balls there year round. Yeah, so there's no bike culture in Cuba because nobody wants to be reminded of how miserable they are on a bicycle. So there where a bicycle, on this very podcast, it's just an interesting juxtaposition. On this podcast, this is a podcast about the joy that we receive from riding bicycles down a hill very fast, right? Even in the sweaty times when you and I get depressed. Imagine if we were constantly in the sweaty time on a 70-pound bicycle, 60-pound bicycle, that's a clunker.
And then you don't get to go home and eat eggs or anything.
Yeah, and you can't even eat any eggs when you're done. You got nothing.
Oh, I'm out.
And I don't even know what kind of... I mean, I drank some of the local beer. It was all right. It wasn't bad. Cervezas, they were pretty good. But anyway, so I don't think bike culture exists there very much because it's not seen as something... Like, there's a bad memory attached to it.
It's not a recreational activity.
No, it was a forced... It was a mandated thing, and so it kind of sucked all the fun out of it.
So all those bikes are gone? Or is that what they're riding?
Yeah, I did not see any clunkers.
They probably melted those bitches down.
Yeah. So, it's weird. I'd hurt my back right before we left. And so I had to go back to the hotel from some event. Interesting fun fact. I didn't know any of this. Baseball is huge in Cuba, right?
Yeah.
It's their number one sport.
Right.
Came out of Spring Hill College. Came from Mobile in like the 1800s. So it was two Jesuit kids. They went back and said, oh, we found this game of baseball. And that's how baseball got introduced to Cuba. From our city, from college right around the corner.
The field at Spring Hill is like one of the oldest still inactive baseball fields.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
And I can't remember Blake's last name, but he was a pitcher for the Royals in the 90s. I can't remember. I wish we had a Jamie.
Hit him on the googs.
Yeah. So anyway, are you trying to look it up? Are you really trying that, Jamie?
All right, well.
Yeah, let's see if we
Jamie
can do it.
would have had it by now.
It would have been in the 90s. But I just can't remember his last name.
Hopefully there's not a Blake.
Yeah, he was a pitcher. Anyway, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, while we were there, they're doing the ceremony or whatever, and so the bus, I had forgotten something, so I need to go back to the hotel. I'll just get a cab, and the tour guide wouldn't let me, so she sends the bus. The bus comes back around, picks me up, and we drive back. And as we pull back up to the baseball thing where they're doing this announcement or this commencement speech, there's like a cart in the road, right? And I go out to get the cart. Now, Jakey Poo, I told him the story. He's like, oh, literally, imagine, very few people, until you hear Jakey Poo's real voice,
right.
You have to imagine, you've heard it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, what do you say? International travel mistake 101, you idiot. What are you trying to get, an IED? I was like, in Cuba? I don't think there's IEDs in Cuba. And it was a cart. I could see the entire cart. It was a frame of a cart.
Yeah.
The reason I bring it up is I walk over to it and I grab the cart and I just sling it onto the curb. That motherfucker was not aluminum. It was steel. And I just tore and then I'm hunched over in pain from my back. So I can only imagine carrying those bikes around. Like, they're not going to enjoy that shit. They're not going to be into that stuff.
No.
And so, yeah, Blake Stein. There it is. Blake Stein is his name. Great guy, super good, fun dude to be around. So shout out to Blake Stein. But he's a former baseball pitcher or whatever, KC and somewhere else, St. Louis maybe. But it was one of those things of like, now, like, you pick up even just that weight was like, fuck this. I don't want to sit here and mess with this stupid ass steel shit. I wouldn't want a bicycle like that.
Yeah, I think I've been to Mexico, like Progresso and Cozumel. But
party zones.
Yeah, I've never been out. Well, and when we went to Progresso, we took a third world country tour.
No shit.
We got off the cruise ship like geniuses and didn't have an excursion planned. So we see a guy that says, hey, for $20, I'll take you guys on your own private tour. I was like, fuck it. Let's go.
Oh my God. Is this pre-kids?
No, this was like pre-COVID, right before COVID. We were the last cruise ship before COVID, and I told Casey, I was like, for $20, we may or may not be back. Let's go.
So literally, you've been living and potentially dying by $20. Just $20.
Absolutely, and I did not die, dude. That was the best $20 I've ever spent. It was awesome. He took us to like this open air cathedral, like where do they go to church, and they had these little tables out there that are called dating tables. I don't know if you've ever seen those. So there's a chair like. There's a chair facing me and a chair, like, they face each other. Yeah. But there's, like, concrete in the middle. They're all concrete. So, like, you sit in each chair. You can't touch each other, but you can sit there and talk and, like, date.
Oh, interesting.
It's super weird, but I was like, well, how are you guys going to make babies? He's like, well, we climb over that little part in the middle. So it was just funny. But then he took us to, like, this little flea market, like their own little flea market. It was pretty awesome. Yeah. But so, I mean, like, I don't have any comparable stories to, like, seeing... Because it was
but there's a difference in the sense, though. At least Mexico, like, they're free, and there's a respect for like when you own something and it's yours. There's a lot more respect for it. Like, I don't know how rental bike companies stay in business because I'm hard on my bike, but like if you give me a rental, I'm just gonna be like, watch me ghost ride this off this cliff, like
why we have no more of those Lime bikes in Mobile.
That's exactly right, because the quote in my industry, in the film industry, which now I guess you're part of, our industry now, congratulations, is don't be gentle, it's a rental, right? And so that same thing goes, I think that applies to a lot of life where people are down there. Mexico, though, they do have freedom enough to, they might have poverty and challenges in that way, but like they're not like this situation. These people are like hosed.
Well, we also, no one really might get the call back to it, but we know why you were in Cuba is because we are running for president.
That's correct. That was
it was a diplomatic journey. To see what
establish Cuban relations. We're going to set up our first bike park in Cuba. Turns out it's a bad idea.
We're back to the drawing board on that one. Yep. Let's go to Bermuda next and see what's
question.
popping.
You guys like mountain bikes? No, you idiot. It's hot as shit here. We're not going up the hill.
We're not allowed to have mountain bikes.
No, I mean, I guess I don't know how you would repair stuff. I thought about, I do think it would be cool. You know, there's like a lot of great programs like Delta Bike and all that stuff. And I think those are great. I'm not taking away from those. Delta Bike is an awesome one we have locally. I'm sure that there's Sorba Imba ones like No Kid Left Behind on a Bike or something like that. Or Justin's favorite, Whites on Bikes.
Somebody's probably laundering money through one of them.
Sure, somewhere there's a laundering system. Yeah. But I do think, though, that it would be kind of fascinating to see if there was a way to, because we can't send them stuff like in the same way. Like I can't financially support them directly.
Tom Cruise fly a plane over and just drop them?
That's what I want. Air America the shit. Was that Tom Cruise? No, that was
what was that movie?
That's Mel Gibson.
Tom Cruise played in a movie where he was a drug smuggler.
You're right. You're right.
Was it Made in America or something?
That was American the one where he was was it American Made?
Yeah, he started he was a CIA guy flying.
Yeah, and started just running. I think it's based on a true story.
Yeah, it is. Barry something was his name. Barry.
Yeah. Barry White. There it is.
Wow,
look at that. We got our own person.
I just always think Tom Cruise can do everything. So
he probably can. Scientology equips all. This podcast is brought to you by Scientology.
If you build a story,
You said the
sci-fi.
C word earlier. We're going to get the little flag.
I did, damn it.
Yeah. You said before. You could say, I think you can get away with like before the great sickness.
Yeah, well, it used to be like BC was before Christ.
Oh my God.
Now it's not.
Oh my God. That's
Now it's
fantastic.
BCAC.
Yeah.
It's
Yep,
not really
Sasquatch.
after. Is it after COVID yet?
You said it again. I guess you said it once. It doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter. We're in.
I don't know if we're ever after COVID. I have no idea. I
No.
could go on a rant, but it'll definitely get us in trouble, so I'm not going to do it. Our platform has changed, by the way.
Yeah,
We were on a thing called Anchor, and now Spotify bought it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've been bought out for a while, but now they've changed it to podcasting. Spotify podcasting for Spotify for podcast. I don't even know anymore. So they've changed it around. So I have to redo our commercial that we get a couple of cents on
Man.
to do that stuff. I know.
Well, maybe they'll buy us bikes.
That'd be
Spotify
delightful.
bikes. I'll ride a bike with Spotify stickers all over it.
Can we do we have confirmation to even talk about? I mean, listen, I would too. I have no shame. There's that one right now. I need that We Are One arrival pretty bad.
Yeah.
I got to figure out how to. I was thinking about buying a camera. Now I'm like, maybe I won't. Not with company money, Justina, who's also my
Cameras and bikes
bookkeeper.
make money.
She's our producer, our bookkeeper.
We all have multiple jobs around here.
Yeah, it's not a single hat show.
No.
Not a craft show. You must craft your own hat first.
Hey, I did see the shout out for the USM spot, and you tagged me in there, and I think Kyle thinks it's just a random shout out. Like, I was actually there, Kyle. I was working.
Yeah, Dale did it. Dale gaffed that. He's
I
a
was
real
really
gaffer.
working, yeah.
He was the best Boyd. I know I was going to ask, can we talk about potentially the next person on, or are we not in that spot to even tease that up a little bit?
I would say so. Yeah, why not? I mean, if they listen to the podcast this long.
Well, if
they
it
at least-
doesn't happen, then it doesn't make us look bad.
No, it'll happen. I mean, we've changed other guys to trees.
We are not admitting to anything.
No.
This is that was a joke and
It was
not
a
a
joke. It was a
affirmation
joke.
of guilt.
No.
Yeah. So can we? So next episode, the reason I think it's kind of interesting is because if you've been here from day one, the whole purpose of this podcast has changed 26 times, right?
Yeah.
We have 26 episodes. This
Depends
is
on
28.
what happens between the 2 weeks when
That
we
is
release
correct.
it.
But the reality of it was we wanted to make something that wasn't just a podcast, like we've always said. This has not changed. The same thing has been, this is the podcast for those of us without pink bikes, that don't live in BC, that live in the flat country, that don't necessarily fit the mold of, quote, this is what a mountain biker is supposed to be, or this is what an IMBA person is, or this is what who cares what it is. We don't fit that mold per se. And one thing, the things that I thought was interesting is that I think that's a huge group of people that are underrepresented is really the term, inside the mountain biking space, because so much attention from brands goes to those. So I think it's a big shout out and pretty awesome that we've had attention from a couple of different spaces, but one of those being Fox Factory. Fox Factory, what do I say? Is that the
it's
correct
Fox
one?
Factory, yes.
That Fox Factory has been interested enough to send somebody to have a conversation with these two knuckle turds, us, because of the impact that not we're making, but you all, the community, are making. I think that's pretty powerful. This idea that, hey, we said we were going to go out and do it. Now the community's doing it. Like, we can see it, and we're seeing communities that are like that we're bringing to light, like Chase and his community. There's that dude in Montgomery I want to have on so bad who's got, I forget his name. What's the guy's name that has like he's got like a secret park too, but
Yeah, the Build, Tune, Ride guys.
those guys, I mean, they're doing their own community. I think there's more of them, and I want us to get more of those people. But now we're getting bona fide. Like, this gives us a little bit of validation. Nixon was a help in that way. Nixon having our first pro on.
Jeff Barber helped.
Jeff Barber. I
And-
mean, that's
and
big.
If anybody doesn't know, Jeff reached out to us first.
Yeah, that's
So
fair. That's
he
true.
noticed us before we.
Oh, and remind me, earmark. I got a story. Talk about that scenario too. But can you talk about maybe? I can't even remember the guy's name. I'm sorry, sir. But the Fox Factory gentleman. What's the deal there for next week? So next episode, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully next episode.
If not, then this is just a waste of fucking time, and we'll get to another story in
yeah,
a second.
we'll tease you guys anyways.
Yeah, here
Next
we
week
go.
we'll tease you with more. My OnlyFans account.
Yeah.
It's a big tease. Well, small tease. Whatever. But
It's just a bag of teas.
so I hope Fox listens to this and they're like, wow, they got OnlyFans crunched you in the middle. That's
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
So We got the connection through Chase. It's pretty sweet.
Yep.
And Fox Factory has done a lot at Oak Mountain in funding tails because they see a need and they see an awesome trail there. But through that, Andy Radala, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but he reached out to me because he thinks what we're doing is awesome and he wants to come check it out. He is the Fox Factory rep here. Not here in Mobile. We don't have one of those.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
No. But so he wants to come, and he was a former downhill rider, and he's going to ride the Reb with us and come on and give a little shout out to our local folks.
Yeah, and I think having a conversation is interesting. It's proof positive that, like, again, it's something I appreciate about Fox. The fact is, like, obviously Birmingham is mountain. We are trail. And then Nixon has put that in my brain, and it'll never leave, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We ride trail bikes. Ours happen to be mountain bikes. If you're in any other geography, it is a mountain bike. Mm-hmm. But what I think is really interesting is that Fox is paying attention to that stuff. And it sounds like we're shamelessly plugging, but it's not. That's a big deal. Yeah. If they're looking at other markets, that means they're actually thinking about the rider. They're not just thinking about the marketing. They're not just thinking about how to sell product. They're thinking about the rider. And if they're thinking about the rider, that means that they're looking at mountain biking as something more than just a marketing opportunity to sling products. They're looking at it as a culture, a lifestyle. I think that's huge. Like, I enjoy during the downhill season, the Tunes show, the Fox show, where they walk up to that one dude, I forget his name, he's badass, and they just walk up to him and he's like, 2 clicks and just 1 spacer. And then it's like, suddenly like, that was it. Like, Greg Menard comes back like, thank you so much, that was perfect. Right. It's like, this dude doesn't even know. He just pushed on it one time, but he does know.
Right.
And I think that that's kind of cool. But at the same time, it's interesting to know that that same level of thought is looking at local trails, whether it's, again, if you guys have not ridden Tails, it is stupid.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's so good. It's such a good and different trail, like, because it feels single tracky.
Yeah, but a park trail.
It's just really fun. The fact that exists. And I'm sure they have other trails. We can ask him, but I'm sure there's other trails that they've sponsored around the U.S., maybe in the Southeast, that I'd love to know about. But it is kind of cool that they would take the time to do that kind of stuff.
And I think that a lot of these companies are scrambling post-COVID because they had this huge demand spike during COVID.
Yeah.
We're just going to get COVID up.
Yeah, you already said it, so we're fine.
So
it's truth, though. This is true.
Yeah, they had a huge spike of demand, and the supply was so low, so they all ramp up, right?
Yeah.
So they ramp up because that's what they had to do.
Right.
Well, then by the time that the supply comes back out, now demand is gone. So now they have to find a way to connect back with the communities to figure out how the hell are we going to get rid of this shit?
Well, I'll tell you what they can do. They can send us a whole fleet of shit, and we will be giving away, you get a fork, and you get a fork, and you get a fork.
Yeah, I mean, like we've always said, we'll sell out for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's not selling out when you're smiling at the bank.
That's right.
But I mean, I think it's cool that it is interesting that the state of the bike industry, and I'm no expert, I can only observe stuff. Like, the fact is,
we're the consumers that are the observation. Right. Perception is the reality. That's
exactly right.
And what we perceive based on our social media.
Dude, I can get shit now. I couldn't get shit a year ago. Yeah. And now there's shit available, like on Amazon. You can just go buy it from there. I mean, you support your local bike shop, but sometimes they've pissed you off.
Yeah. Or sometimes they act like they can't get it, and I can get it 2 seconds.
Right. I mean, that's distributor problems. We understand that. We've been through that too. So I was going to bring up something. You said Barber. They just posted an article talking about
singletracks.com.
On singletracks.com, sorry. Mm-hmm. They posted an article talking about, do you remember a while back, I think when we were starting the Reb and other stuff, I was freaking out a little bit because I found out. Did you read it?
Yeah.
It's insane.
But I did read some of the comments from local people too. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, maybe I didn't get that far, so that'd be good. You can add to it.
Yeah,
so if you guys don't know what we're talking about, so there was this legal case that happened in that was in Oregon somewhere at Ski Bowl, I think it's called, and it's
Mount
at this place,
Hood, right? Is it Mount Hood?
Mount Hood, yeah, something like that. But it's Ski Bowl, I think, is the brand. But anyway, they had this bike park. The bike park got closed because in 2016, and that's how long it took the lawsuit to happen. But in 2016, a guy broke his back and was paralyzed, and so it was a really big deal. And the fact is, the liability waivers didn't hold. The insurance doesn't matter. The insurance is just paying out money. Right. The waiver didn't hold, and the bike park got sued for $11.4 million. So they are closed. And now there's like a petition to come back out and have it signed or something.
But what I read a lot of the local folks from that area.
Right.
Because people were going on there like, that guy should have just stayed at home in his mom's basement, played video games.
He was a legit rider.
Yeah, we don't need him on the mountain. Like, I heard those comments. Well, then there was a ton of local people that get on there, and they were commenting saying, look, that place could have spent a small amount of money, fixed the issue that the dude got hurt on.
Yep.
And there was a lot of disrepair going on. Like, the whole place was, they all said it was an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So maybe the negligence maybe was a problem. You know what I'm saying?
I think
like,
that's what the real
the
suit
real
came
issue
over.
is negligence.
The problem is it sets precedent for somebody else.
So you just have to maintain what you got.
But like his injury though is logical. Like the track he was on, they said that riders would regularly get up to 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, because the one I saw,
because it was a road.
Yeah, they had all the signs around the drainage ditch that he wrecked into, and all the signs like they said at 30 mile an hour you wouldn't even be able to read them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, both sides are at fault, right?
It's yeah.
I would say that there's a little bit of, when you get on a bicycle, note to everyone listening, there's an inherent risk that you are assuming by getting on that bike.
Right.
So you understand that. We understand that. But we always joke, or we don't joke. People say like, why do you guys make me sign this waiver? I'm not going to sue you. We're good friends. Like, okay, yes, you might not sue us.
Right.
But your spouse could sue us. Your
Right.
insurance company could sue us. Anybody. It's not just you. Like, if you're incapacitated in a coma, which if I'm ever in a coma, my wife tries to sell my shit, somebody better.
I got you, bro.
All right. But the insurance company's going to come after somebody because they're going to think someone's negligent. It's not your negligence or your inability or skill level, but
well, so in that case, though, in that actual case, the scenario was that like that dude's a legit rider. Like apparently has ridden that a lot.
Yeah,
it sketches what the locals said. So he wasn't just some noob that just showed up and shouldn't hit. Like he's ridden that trail a lot. Yeah. It just so happened he ate shit, and when he did, his back smashed into I guess it was a 4x4.
Yeah. I think it was a culvert 4x4 something that he wrecked through. It was a drainage ditch, whatever it was.
Yeah, and it broke his back and it paralyzed him. But he hit a signpost, is what I read, was like the final straw. Like he would have been all beat up, but the signpost he hit. Yeah. So then I was like, ooh, well, there you go. Like that's kind of the problem I have is like at the end of the day, if you're a bike park, and I'm paying you, it's a little bit different. To me, like I think you could probably make an argument of if you're a bike park and I'm paying you to maintain a bike park, a standard of quality, then there's an expectation that exists that like, hey, I'm showing up. It's the same way with like product liability that we learned about when looking at selling bikes. Is like product liability is a weird situation. Only the big companies have it. Like it's hard to get product liability. Like
the bike park is their product, right?
That is their product. So there is a liability issue on that side of it. They have to look
at like their snowboard, ski park, resort area, like. It's all similar, right? Every time you go,
same issue.
Yeah, every time you go, there's going to be it's going to be different. Weather changes, erosion, everything.
Right.
I mean,
it's weird that the sign that they were able to get through. To me, it's a little bit like that's a freak situation. I feel like the lawyers for the bike park didn't do a very good job of like, look, this is the circumstances in which this occurred are pretty odd. But then again, if we don't know what the condition of the trail was, if the trail was dictating that, you're going to, it's just one of those things. It's a really weird situation. The only reason I bring it up is because right now in mountain bike culture, bike parks are king.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So I would be sweating my fucking head off right now if I'm thinking about, like that's scary that exists and that case has come out. Now the details come out. He hit his back on a fucking sign and that put the dude out.
But
and
if
he was a legit
have the
rider.
Sign, you would have been screwed.
Right.
There's like a
so you don't have a sign and then you get right. So I don't know, man.
But I think it's like and again we're just dumbasses talking. Like we don't have.
We're human beings. We're consumers though.
We're trailhead juppies, right? Trailhead junkies. Like we don't have a clue what we're talking about. But what I'm saying is like we had this conversation before. Is like when you have. There's no ability. There's no way for you as a bike park owner or anybody to know what their skill level is for every person that gets there. It's only for them.
Yep.
And so then where do we start signing and where do we stop?
Right.
Because then you say what route is really hard for me or you, maybe not be hard for the other guy.
Yep.
Or vice versa. So do we like skill level dictates? So basically, you just say you give them a heads up.
Yeah.
You cannot assume that there's a risk involved. Like you can't say dangerous feature ahead because what's dangerous for you is not me or vice versa. So you have to just say feature ahead or expert.
I think you can
ahead.
say warning.
Yeah, maybe warning.
But I think that I've seen that language. But yeah, there's weird language that goes into it too that you just have to be like, hey, heads up.
Caution maybe.
Right.
But then again, I've heard the same thing from a lawyer that says like, if you put a sign up, then you already assume that it's risky. You know,
right,
so
you
it's
assume
like,
the liability
you're
risk.
assuming that there's a danger there.
Right.
If there's no sign, then it's like, man, it's almost like it's so hard because of just like precedent like that. Like now, does every bike park have to? What do they do?
I don't know. I mean, I think the shittiest part is in reality, the scenario is that you have to turn around and go, okay, what does the insurance want? And now all of a sudden, you're not talking about legal. You're talking about relationships with insurance companies because all you're doing is trying to protect your ass.
Right.
So then there is no liability scenario. You're just like, yeah, fuck it. Something's gonna happen. I mean, it's gonna happen.
But it's like everything has to have a loophole, right? Like
yeah,
that bike park got sued. They lost.
Yep.
There has to be an underlying issue that we're not seeing. Maybe it is that it was all deteriorated. Maybe there was maybe they actually did something incorrectly that caused the accident.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Negligence is a real thing.
Maybe there was more negligence, but then again, it's like, what level of intelligence do you have to build a bike park?
Right.
Or what level of skill or research do you have to do to make sure that you don't like do the same negligent thing?
I don't know.
So I mean, like maybe the trail was too straight down on a different grade, and the grade shouldn't have been like, okay, well.
Maybe it rained and it should have been closed and it wasn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
something.
Somebody rode a muddy
Who
trail,
knows?
not just from trashing a berm. It was slick.
Right.
There's a million things. I just thought it was fascinating because it's the first time I've read any real major details on it, aside from like, oh, they got sued. Because immediately I take the bike park side. I'm like,
Right.
But it's a little bit more gray than that. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's what makes that lawsuit so interesting.
It is. When we first read about it, it was like, oh God, here we go. This is it's a avalanche.
I thought it was going to affect more than it did. I'm glad it's been somewhat contained for the moment. So
I think it's one of those things where insurance companies understand how much money they can make off of bike parks by just selling them insurance. That why shut them down? You know what I'm saying?
No, that's fair enough.
It's probably like, if we could take one every once in a while, okay, we'll take it. But we're making money off of the bike parks in general.
Yeah, it's tricky. Insurance is weird. We have insurance at the Red, but it's a weird scenario. I mean, it's bizarre to get it there, and ours is very limited because it's just like, hey, we
just got a few dumbasses. Not
our waiver is so like it literally mentions the most horrific shit in the world on it. You know, it basically says that even The Last of Us could happen. There could be mushroom head people out there. Like it's blatantly brutal.
Yeah, there probably is.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Fair enough.
There's some clickers out there.
There's some definite clickers out there. So long to say of this entire thing is that, to circle back around to full circle, is that I'm just fucking grateful to live in America where I can ride my bike and have a good time and I can sue people. I mean, these are all very American situations to deal with. And that we have a consumer choice and we have the ability to do all this stuff. I mean, it's great. Just don't ever take it. I mean, as dumb as it sounds, you hear it all the time. And I love the people I met, and I've stayed in contact with some of them best I can in Cuba. But just don't take for granted the fact that, like, at any given moment, we can go jump on our bike and ride in a publicly funded park, or that's protected by a volunteer organization, that's funded by a parent organization, or is made up by a bunch of assholes that you're friends with that don't have to report it to the government beyond, like, you know, taxes or whatever. But, like, it's not like you have to register this whole thing. The fact that we have that, something as simple as that, is a big deal. So.
Yeah, and don't be a bitch about what's not built for you.
That's right.
Like,
that's totally right.
The trails are built for everyone. Everywhere. Just ride them and shut up.
That's right.
I think also you guys got an insider view of what Drew and I's conversations are like.
Yeah, that's
This is maybe more organized than one of our normal conversations.
Yeah, there'd be 36 tangents into random shit. We'd be like, did I ever tell you? And be like, yeah. You mean this? Oh, yeah. Okay, great. And then we're back on topic.
Borderline have Alzheimer's.
Oh, yeah, it's there. It's probably concussion based. CTE, is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Is there CTE in basketball?
Oh, yeah. Just not as much. I mean, basketball's a lot more dangerous than it used to be.
Is that from people putting balls on your face?
Yeah. And scraping you. Like, there's a certain demographic of folks that don't cut their fingernails that play basketball a lot. And I used to come home from games look like I just got done baling straw.
Good strategy.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
Drop the ball from him. Be like, yeah,
Dude, it hurts.
Yeah.
Sweaty fingernail cuts all over your arms.
Oof.
Yeah. But basketball it's a lot more physical than it used to be.
Yeah.
And the bodies are bigger. Like we used to coach and play with don't let anybody run without getting a shoulder. So like no running
Good
free is
God.
what we called it. Like so you can't move around on the court. Like sometimes, you want to move around.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you don't have the ball, you're trying to get open. But we always made a joke like make sure they land on their back if you hit them. Like just don't let them run free because then it messes the whole thing up. All the timing and then you get in their head and it's all a head game. And I was only 170 pounds and I'm trying to get open and getting blasted by 7-foot dudes. It was great.
Brutal.
I might have CTE.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, and some other STDs.
Nothing penicillin can't take care of. I got the vaccine, dude. I'm vaccinated.
That's right. Your blood is all nice and clotted. Well, that just got us canceled.
I'm vaccinated. All I asked for was ivermectin, and all I got was vaccine.
Oh boy!
Now we're definitely
now we're done. If you are hearing this episode and you've not heard our other catalog, go back and listen.
I thought you were going to say if you're listening to this episode and you're not vaccinated.
Oh yeah, no, that's your business. Yeah, but if you haven't heard the old catalog, go back. There's a couple of great episodes thrown out there. There's rants, there's rages. There's a lot of good stuff. If you're looking to buy a new bike, that episode's still very popular. I think it's good advice. I still stand behind it. I should have probably applied it. Although I enjoy my Trek e-bike, I probably should have applied some of that logic to that a little more instead of just reacting. But if you have a chance, check those out.
One of our best episodes is when we were mad.
Yeah.
Like I looked at the listens the other day.
Harsh Bro.
It
was the name of the episode.
Yeah. Harsh Bro's got one of the most listens.
Yeah, Harsh Bro's pretty it's topped out.
And did you on YouTube put the things that Nixon's talking about?
What do you mean?
Go on YouTube.
Yeah.
And on Nixon's episode, it'll say what the topic is, and it's broke down across the bottom of the screen.
I didn't do that.
Dude, it's crazy. Like whatever he's talking about, it has like a little segment of time that says like
what
he's talking about versatility. He's talking about racing. Like it's crazy.
Maybe somebody else did that.
Who can do that? Maybe he did it.
Computers.
Nixon, did you
Nixon
do
did
this?
it. Nixon took it. If that's all right. Well, now Chase, you have a high standard to play to. We expect you to go in and take your episode and break it down by categorization.
Wow, I wonder if YouTube's doing this to us.
I think it is. It's automatic.
It's crazy though because it's accurate. Like I clipped his the other night.
Yeah.
And you could see like it's exactly what he's talking about. You got
weird.
It's pretty awesome.
That's
so
great.
like if you just wanted to remember like if he's telling a story about volunteering,
yeah,
go find the volunteer tab, click on it.
Well, that also means it's probably captioned and searchable.
Hopefully.
Also freaky.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed listening. The Fox episode is coming up.
This one's just called Rant Your Pants Off.
Yeah, that's exactly it. There's stuff after this. Obviously, we're going to be at Skyway. That'll be a lot of fun. So if you have ideas or you want to come join us, just hit us up on the variety of channels that we have. They're all at Ride the Rebellion. We have a great Discord that we think you should use, though I'm not the best at using it because I get distracted by Midjourney. But if you have a chance, head over to that, and you can follow us on all the channels, like I said. With that said, just remember what Dale Boyd says.
COVID is